Speaker, like what I heard the Honorable Mbadi said this morning about the Article 223, it's so general that as a House, I think we need to look at Article 223 so that it is not abused. That every other time, the government just withdraws money, gets money under Article 223 without approval of Parliament. So with those many remarks, Madam Speaker, I support.
Honorable Member for Gatanga, I see that you have an amendment motion. I think I can allow you to prosecute it now. And I think the amendment has already been circulated. You may proceed, Honorable Murray. I hope it won't take too long.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. I wish, or I beg to move a motion for the consideration of the budget estimate for the financial year 2024-25 to be amended by inserting the following words immediately after the words second schedule to the order paper appearing on paragraph 2. Subject to the insertion of the following policy solutions, we request for introduction of the education sector. That beginning the financial year 2024-25, the school feeding program currently being undertaken by the national government covers all learners in all public basic education sector. Madam Speaker, the amendment is not only constitutional, but moral. Let me first and foremost, Madam Speaker, I thank the committee, the Finance Committee, the Budget Committee, for making a very, very elaborate budget proposal, very elaborate public participation, whereby we have come up with a budget estimate of 2.9 trillion. I also wish, Madam Speaker, to thank the NACONEC, the institution which has been managing the school feeding program in Asal. They have been doing an exemplary job. Madam Speaker, two wrongs cannot make one right. Madam Speaker, on the 11th October 2023, this Parliament passed a resolution that school feeding program need to be implemented in all our primary and junior secondary schools to ensure that there is quality. That is already in the record of this Parliament, and Madam Speaker, we are saying it's a high time we implement that resolution. Madam Speaker, under Article 53 of the Constitution, it provides that every child is entitled to free and compulsory education. That is an Article 53(1)(b). Article 53(1)(c) provides that every child in this country is entitled to basic nutrition, shelter, and health. Second, Madam Speaker, Article 27, subsection 4, provides that there shall never be any discrimination to anybody, a citizen of this republic, by the virtue of their race, their religion, their age, or the region where they come from. Madam Speaker, the point here is very simple. The NACONEC has been focusing more on the nomadic areas, which is very good. However, the Constitution provides that all children in the Republic of Kenya, they are equal before God and before the Constitution. And secondly, Madam Speaker, if we are able to provide school feeding program in all our schools, we shall start getting value, the return on investment, which currently the budget provides for 700 billion. But by the virtue of the fact that there is no school feeding program, that's why you find there's a lot of dropout and poor performance. Gatanga constituency, the conversion rate is below 12%. Madam Speaker, the intervention of food is key, in particular for the young learners. The children in Kasipur Kabondo, if they can be able to have a meal during lunch, their performance, the efficiency, the retention, they'll perform better. The children in the other constituency, Same, if they are able to get a meal every day, in fact that is what takes them to school. The children in Mwingi West, Mwingi North, they go to school because if they are provided for a meal, they'll be able to go to school. And therefore we are saying, Madam Speaker, we want the school feeding program to cover the entire country, not one section. Because if it moves in the way it is right now, there's no policy. There's no policy statement in the budget statement on this issue. But if it continues being only on the Assar region, eventually what will happen is that one will go to court and declare the whole article, the whole provision, the whole budget, especially on the school feeding program, unconstitutional because it has failed to deliver on Article 53, and it has also failed Article 27 of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, are you back in history? The late President Moi provided for milk not only in the Rift Valley, not only in Northeastern, not only in Turkana, but provided school milk for all the children of this country. The reason why he did that is because he knew very well that it's only at the age of about 14 that the children require a lot of food, so at least they can be able to grow their minds and be able to learn properly. And therefore, in the same analogy, let's learn from the history that all children in this country are equal under the law, under the Constitution, and therefore the good work has been being carried out by NACONEC be propagated and be pushed to other parts of the country, whereby all our children can start having a meal in the primary school, so at least we can be able to ensure that there is retention, there is efficiency, there is good performance, and there is enrollment also in our high school, in our schools can be able to increase. And my proposal, Madam Speaker, is that money, we need NACONEC to continue managing it. We don't want that money to be put in that bottomless pit in the Ministry of Health. We want NACONEC to continue doing that work. Spread the spirit of goodness. Spread the spirit of giving our children food, not only in the northeastern side, but also in all parts of the country. I know, Madam Speaker, there's a challenge of a budget, but I appeal to the members of parliament that everything starts with a framework. We want to create a framework whereby it's not only the Assar region, which is children who are getting what calls school feeding program. It's all the children of the Republic of Kenya, because that's what the Constitution says. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I propose that at the beginning of that, on the budget 2024, we come up with we bring an amendment in the education center that the school feeding program be currently undertaken by the national government, covers all learners in public basic education. That is the ECD, the primary, and what you call the junior secondary school. I move the motion and I request the member of parliament for Kajiado North, Honorable Gogoyo, to second the motion. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to second the motion by the member for Gatanga, the Honorable Murray. Madam Speaker, it has come to our attention, Madam Speaker, the height of unfairness in the distribution of the money set aside for school feeding program. Madam Speaker, I come from Kajiado County, an Asal County. The whole of my constituency and other constituencies do not receive money for the school feeding program. During the last drought that Kajiado faced, Madam Speaker, we had the worst dropout of school-going children. Madam Speaker, when we are doing capitation, we do capitation per child in a school. Madam Speaker, we are of the opinion that we should endeavor to keep the child in school to continue going to school. Madam Speaker, even in Nairobi County, Taita Taveta County, Madam Speaker, there are counties that were affected greatly by the last drought, specifically Taita Taveta. In Nairobi County, Madam Speaker, you have what we call urban poverty, children who do not get a meal and they are supposed to go to school. Madam Speaker, we must, setting aside resources are set aside so that they meet specific needs for people. If we want to keep a child in school, Madam Speaker, let us keep children who deserve to be in school. And I single out Narok, Kajiado. Madam Speaker, this does not happen in the school feeding program. Madam Speaker, going by what we have, Madam Speaker, we will not have achieved the intention of keeping children in school. I therefore second the motion, Madam Speaker, and urge this Honourable House, let us be fair to all children who are going to school. Let us keep them in school, Madam Speaker, by providing them with a meal. Madam Speaker, I have 3 institutions, one called Life International, that tries to feed children in schools. For instance, about 4 schools have been picked up. Madam Speaker, the turnout of children, keeping them in school has become excellent, almost to a tune of 98% in an urban center, Madam Speaker. I therefore propose the amendment. As I second the amendment, Madam Speaker, I say this is the only way to achieve fairness in the school feeding program. With those very many remarks, Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Can you allow me first to propose the question first, okay? Honorable members, I now propose the question that the motion for the consideration of the budget estimates for the financial year 2024-2025. Oh, sorry, let me start again. Honorable members, let me start again. Honorable members, I now propose the question that the motion for the consideration of the budget estimates for the financial year 2024-2025 be amended by inserting the following words immediately after the words second schedule to the order paper, appearing in paragraph 2. Subject to the insertion of the following policy resolution: education, that beginning financial year 2024-2025, the school feeding program currently being undertaken by the national government covers learners in all basic education institutions. Okay. Yes, what's your point of order, Honorable? Yes, let me allow, you also have a point of order? I'll allow Honorable Naisula.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise on a point of order under Standing Order 114 and also Article 114 of the Constitution. And I must say on the onset that the vision that my friend Honorable Moreu has is excellent, that all our school-going children are fed in school, Madam Speaker, because the same challenges that a child in Samburu faces is the same where children in Gatanga face, Madam Speaker. But it is important that I bring to your attention that listening to his motion, Madam Speaker, it touches on money matters that has come to this House. Because Article 114 says, in the opinion of the Speaker of the National Assembly, a motion makes provision for a matter listed in the definition of a money bill. The Assembly may proceed only in accordance with the recommendations of the relevant committee, which in this case is the Budget and Appropriations Committee of the Assembly, after taking into account the views of the Cabinet Secretary responsible for finance, Madam Speaker. And so it would need concurrence with Treasury, Madam Speaker. And so the spirit of the amendment is in perfect, I support it, but I believe it has come a bit too late. He should have brought it when we were doing the Budget and Appropriations Committee, looking at all the recommendations of the committees, and also during the budget policy statement. That is when it should have come, because then we would have appropriated the funds. Even this 3 billion that we have been fighting for ASAL areas was not there. We've had to fight for it. Now, if we say that 3 billion we divide into small pieces now to get to our children, it is not possible. And so I believe in the next cycle, BPS, he can bring it and I can assure you, Honorable Moreu, I will support it. But I believe it has come in a bit too late. And so, Madam Speaker, I do hope that you find this to be a money amendment and decline to propose the question of the amendment of my very good friend, Honorable Moreu.
Farah Malim was going first.
Madam Speaker, I also join my sister from Samburu. And I want to say from the outset, I have nothing against all Kenyan children being accorded a certain portion or meal for them to be able. I do know that there are pockets of poverty all over the country. But Madam Speaker, these things have got to be done at the right time. Mr. Muriu, Makiri Muriu, who is my colleague in the JLAC, should have thought about this way earlier and brought up that kind of a move or motion to the attention of the Budget Committee. And here it says, and I go back again, if in the opinion, that's the Constitution, this is the Constitution 2010, if in the opinion of the Speaker of the National Assembly, a motion makes provision for matters listed in the definition of a money bill, anything that has a cost, the Assembly may only proceed in accordance with the recommendations of the relevant committee of the Assembly after taking into account the views of the Cabinet Secretary responsible for finance. So this thing was dead ab initio, and I think it's dead and it cannot proceed. And also the same provision is there in the standing orders, the same number, standing order number 114. Mr. Muriu, good idea. Work on it next year, and we'll see how we can work on it, because then there's going to be sufficient provision in terms of sufficient funds for all the children of Kenya. In any case, it's unconstitutional for us now to begin considering this in the budget. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
May I have the mic? I think I'll give an opportunity. I can see your card there. The Vice Chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. I know you're standing in for the Chairperson. It's good to hear from the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The amendment by my friend, Honorable Muriu, is a good one. All of us here have constituencies, we have schools. I think it will be in the interest of every member that we have school feeding programs in all schools. However, the budget making process starts much early. We are at the tail end of the budget making process. That is why we have the budget policy statements that lays the direction and the foundation upon which the figures are now set. So, to respond to my friend Honorable Muriu, under Article 114 of the Constitution, and also Standing Order number 114, it requires that a motion of this nature must be presented first to the Budget and Appropriations Committee to undertake three things. One, for the Budget and Appropriations Committee to conduct public participation, consult the public on the matter. Two, to consult National Treasury for their views and advice, because they need to advise on availability of resources. The National Treasury has to advise on sustainability of the project. And then thereafter, the Budget Committee is expected to table a report or to present recommendations to the floor of this House. Madam Speaker, I want to report that that has not happened. The member did not submit his request to the Budget and Appropriations Committee. In view of the foregoing, therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to request that you decline the amendment. Use your discretion to decline this amendment because it has come a bit too late. But I would want to advise the member to pick up the matter with the chairman of the Education Committee so that the discussion can begin between the committee and the Minister of Education so that this program to expand the school feeding to accommodate the whole country can be captured in the Ministry of Education planning so that now from there it can appear in the next budget policy statement, upon which now we as the Budget and Appropriations Committee can put the figures so that we can accommodate the entire country. But as it stands now, I think it has come a bit too late. However, it's a very good idea. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, let's not flog a dead horse. Yes? It's a dead horse, let's not flog it. So I will proceed this way, that this is the ruling. Pursuant to the provisions of Article 114, which have been alluded to by all the speakers, of the Constitution and Standing Order 114 of 3, I will decline to put the question because the matter is out of time. Honorable Murui is a lawyer, so he knows when you're time-barred. There is the statute of limitation applies here. Thank you, Honorable Murui. Yeah, he's a very clever lawyer. He was my classmate. Just to say 1 minute. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just to thank you for the opportunity. And he's disturbing me, Madam Speaker. Please protect me. Madam Speaker, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. Because, as I said earlier, 2 wrongs do not make 1 right. And secondly, there is a constitutional and a moral requirement to make sure that every child in this country is well fed, because that's what Article 53 of the Constitution provides. And second, Madam Speaker, Article 27 again says no one should be discriminated. And therefore, when I hear my honorable members making that assertion, I'm happy that everybody is well bound. And finally, Madam Speaker, and I think it is important.
I don't want you to re-prosecute the
yes,
case.
I'm not prosecuting.
Yes,
I just want to thank you.
Just oblige that you accept the ruling.
It's a matter of emotion, Madam Speaker. And finally, I think the House needs to appreciate that it is only the children who have left their mother's breast up to the age of about 12, 13 who are not given food. Children in secondary schools, in universities, are provided food by the government. And therefore, it's a moral issue for us to ask ourselves, are we going to continue feeding adults, or we want to continue making the children be fed? But I stand guided, Madam Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, I know that some members, when they saw the amendment circulating, they asked me, why did you approve it? It's clearly, contrary to the Constitution and the standing orders. I said, I do not have the power to decline to rule against the amendment from my desk. It has to make it to the House, then you prosecute it, then we hear responses, then make a ruling from the House. So the Speaker has no power to make rulings from the Speaker's desk in the office upstairs. It can only be done from this chair. So that's the reason. Thank you. Let's proceed. I think I'll give an opportunity. What is your point of order? But we have already debated. This matter is closed. Are you raising this issue? Yes, that's what I'm saying. I hope you are not prosecuting the same matter. No, but are you discussing the matter at all? Okay, be seated. Let's move to the next person to debate. No, we are just going back to the debate. We are resuming debate, and I'm giving the chairpersons an opportunity. Which chairpersons are here? This is not the first time you have been a nuisance in the House. You know that. You always demand that you must speak. Like I've told you, we've finished the issue of the amendment. We are now going back to the debate. We are, yes. No, I'm not letting him have an audience because he knows we are resuming the debate. Honorable member, I'm giving you the first warning, honorable member. You cannot continue to speak when I have asked you to sit down. I am resuming debate, and if you want to contribute to the budget debate, please press the card or you stand up on a point of order and quote the standing order on which you're raising your point of order. It's as simple as that. So what is your point of order? Standing order? Number?
Madam Speaker, I beg you to exercise fairness to me.
It is not fair. It's not, I'm not being unfair.
I'm
just asking you to be procedural.
I'm a representative of Nyando constituency, and I have to really point out their interest in this house.
Could you tell us
that is
the
why they
standing
got
order
me
upon
here.
which you are
Madam
raising?
Speaker, I
And
needed your direction.
What's your point of order?
I needed your
What's
direction.
your point of order?
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to. I needed your direction on a matter. Whereas the flooding situation is over, the devastating effects are still with our people on the ground. Some people are still holding evacuation
Okay, Honorable
camps.
Member, you know that if you want to raise that, you can raise it as a statement, and you have an opportunity tomorrow morning during our sitting.
I needed your direction.
On the order paper. Please let us proceed, Honorable Member. And if he continues to speak, I take away his mic, and you can actually, you're free to leave the
Madam,
place.
you're harassing me.
I'm not harassing you. You are, in fact, being extremely disrespectful. I won't engage with you. Any members of chairpersons of various committee? Vice Chair Labour, are you here? Vice Chair Labour? Honorable Kawanjiku, I know you're in the Budget Committee. Any other Vice Chairperson? Okay, Honorable Makali, you can contribute.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I even contribute, I wanted to ask for your intervention on a matter. I'm the Vice Chair Public Data and Privatization Committee, and as a committee, we also did a report on the CFS expenditure, which is part of the budget. Yes. I don't know at what point, because we even tabled a report. I don't know at what point will that report be debated, because it is part of what we are discussing. But having said that,
I can allow you, since we are giving chairpersons opportunity. I know you're not a chairperson of a departmental committee, but I'll give you an opportunity. So you can proceed and make your contribution. Yeah,
I can make my contribution. And since that report, I know what it was in the report, maybe let me start with that point, Honorable Chair, as part of my contribution to the budget estimates. Honorable members, if you look at the estimates, the budgeted amount for consolidated fund expenditures is 1.88 trillion. That's the money we are supposed to spend to take care of expenditures relating to consolidated fund services. Out of that money, the country will be spending about 1.08 trillion to pay interest rates. And we'll be spending an additional about 700 billion, to pay for debts which we've already taken. That's the repayment of debts.
Yes, just one moment, Honorable Makali. Yes. I just wanted to remind members, because I think many members don't seem to know this, we have a sitting tomorrow morning at 9:30, a special sitting for those who are not here in the morning. It's mission critical because we have to complete the budget process tomorrow. So and we'll be sitting until 9 p.m. tonight.
So what I'm saying, Honorable Chair, is that this information is very important in relation to what we are discussing. Why am I saying it is important? If you look at the projected revenue collection, which is about 2.9 trillion, and you look at the money going to be used for consolidated fund services expenditure, 1.88 trillion, it's more than about 70% of the money we are going to collect will go to payment of debts. If you look at the interest rate being paid, which is 1.08 trillion, it is about 34% of the revenue going to be collected. So that the money we are going to collect, for every about 100 shillings we collect, 34 will be payment of interest. And I remember, Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, sir, when the Chair Budget Committee was making his presentation, he did indicate that part of that money will be paid to Kenyans. Out of 1 trillion, about 70 700 billion will be paid to Kenyans. Even though it's a good item, Honorable Speaker, in terms of Kenyans getting that money, but if you look at the totality of the budget, what we are saying is, with this kind of payments out of our projected revenue collection, we have very little room, what we call the fiscal space, to do other things like development and meet our recurrent expenditure. So, honorable members, even as we discuss this budget, it is important we realize that we have the elephant in the room is actually matters public debt. Because out of the total CFS expenditures, over 90% will go to payment of public debt. So it means if we manage issues of public debt properly, then we could be able to save resources for other activities. And in the morning, I did mention that if you look at the budget, the supplementary budget, we have reduced a lot of the money in the development fund, which means our development budget is being reduced year in, year out. And if you cannot develop, if you cannot implement development projects, then automatically you'll have challenges growing the economy. That's one point. The other thing I want to comment on, Honorable Speaker, sir, is the issue of the JSS intern teachers. I want to say, honorable members, it is good that we have allocated resources so that all the 46,000 intern teachers are employed permanently and pensionable. This is important because, as you are aware, our JSS is facing serious challenges in terms of teachers, in terms of infrastructure. So when we allocate money to employ teachers on permanent and pensionable basis, we actually assist in the country because the teachers now will be able to settle and start teaching without any problem. The other matter which is important, Honorable Speaker, is the matter of the resources allocated for floods, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in this budget, the Chair did mention that we have made provision to take care of floods. This country has suffered serious consequences as a result of floods. The roads are, the infrastructure generally, roads, school classrooms, and all different kinds of infrastructure has been destroyed, Honorable Speaker. And it is important that now we have resources to repair some of this infrastructure. Otherwise, the country will not be able to move because, for example, when roads are not properly done, then you cannot move products to the market. And these are important economic activities. The other matter, Honorable Speaker, which is important in the budget, is the issue of the political parties fund, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the report, it indicates that this year, the coming year, 24-25, political parties will be getting a total of 1.5 billion in terms of allocation to that fund. But, Honorable Speaker, it's also worth noting that this year, we had allocated 1.47 billion for that fund, which was reduced in supplementary one to about 600, reduction of over 800 million. So my plea would be that the money we have allocated for political parties, the coming financial year, Honorable Speaker, will not now be reduced during the supplementary estimates, so that at the end of the day, we are able to fund these political parties as required in the Constitution, because this is the only way we can grow our democracy, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the other matter which I want to raise is the issue of, we have been budgeting as a House every year, but the issue is, how are we performing matters budget implementation, Honorable Speaker? Because, Honorable Speaker, it is not enough just to have the budget in our books. It is sufficient to have the budget implemented, so that once you have it in the books, we implement it, and as a result of that, then Kenyans can benefit out of the services and goods which will come as a result of implementing the budget. There we are having a serious challenge, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to budget implementation. And the main cause to that, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the exchequer releases. You find that the money is in the books, but we are not able to provide exchequer releases to the MDAs. And on the basis of that, then, we have challenges implementing. And that's why you find that towards the end of the year, just as we did this morning, we are able to reduce the figures downwards to be accommodated within the budget, because we have not managed to raise enough revenue to fund the budget. And this is why I want to say, I want to agree with those who are saying, Honorable Speaker, that as Treasury is doing revenue projections, they need to be as realistic as possible. And I think what they need to do is, Honorable Speaker, to look critically at the assumptions they are making. Because when I look at it, I think that the assumptions being made when we are making our budgets are not being looked at critically, so that we don't live, because it looks like we are just making assumptions for the sake of it, knowing very well, Honorable Speaker, we may not be able to achieve that, And if we don't achieve it, then we don't achieve the ambitious revenue projections. And that's why I'm also supporting the idea of adding resources to KRA, so that KRA is facilitated to collect all the taxes which are already approved by this House. And in that case, then we'll be able to fund our budget, Honorable Speaker. The other matter which is critical as we move to the future, Honorable Speaker, is issues of equity in the budget making. That, Honorable Speaker, I remember in the morning, there was an issue of the roads where the majority leader was complaining that the MP for Yatta had actually raised a matter which was not true. And I think the issue is, Honorable Speaker, is how equitable is this budget in terms of where we are funding projects. I think we need to ensure as a House, we need to ensure that we are able to share this budget equitably and all regions of the country are well represented, Honorable Speaker. On that basis, Honorable Speaker, then we'll be able to be helping this country matters budget. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, if it's a matter of just passing budget for the sake of passing it, without looking at issues of equity, then I can tell you for sure, some parts of this country will remain marginalized for the rest of the, till Jesus comes back to this world, Honorable Speaker. So it is important, members, we look at equity issues. The other thing we need to look at, as I conclude, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of gender sensitivity to budget making, so that we don't make a budget which is not neutral to issues of gender. We need to make sure that as we make a budget, we also mainstream issues of gender, so that the budget we make takes care of both sexes. In that case, we don't have one of the sides of the...
Honorable members, I think we shall be able to accommodate as many members as possible. If, although you are entitled to 10 minutes, you take as little as 5 or 3 minutes. I'm not telling you have the option to do that and take all the 10 minutes, but I think you will accommodate. We shall be in a position to accommodate many members of Parliament on this very important debate on the budget. The Honorable Russell Dido. Let's give him the mic.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I stand to support this budget, and I want to congratulate the formidable chair of the Budget and Appropriation Committee and the committee members. Honorable Speaker, this is the largest committee members in one committee. And for that reason, I think their purview of what they do or what is there in the budget in terms of equity, in terms of the spread of the budget, in terms of budget coverage, must be the best, and they must be on the spot in what they are doing. Honorable Speaker, I want to first start with the issue of security. Security is the anchor around which a government or a state exists. It is that instrument that allows the development within a country, because in the absence of security, then a lot of these good things we talk about will not be there. In this, I'm talking about the National Police Service, the Kenya Defense Forces, the Correctional Service, and the national government administrative officers in the field. These people perform the best for us. For this House to be able to sit today in the afternoon to discuss the budget is because this country is secure. For us to be on the roads, in the schools, in many places doing development or chores in our homes is because there is security. For that reason, we must continuously improve in their working environment, in their welfare and motivation to do the best in wherever they are working. Through modernization, that they must have the best equipment to be able to carry out their duties. In this, I'm talking about mobility. that there must be enough vehicles, enough protective vehicles, such as the APCs, and also firepower and force protection, that the individual that we send out in the field, that policeman who is chasing robbers down the alley, must be protected enough for him or her to feel secure. Honorable Speaker, in this, it is paramount that we must continuously build the human capacity of all these institutions so that the best are out there to serve this country when we are doing other things. Honorable Speaker, we must also invest in technology so that Kenya and Kenyans see that we are moving beyond the 21st century, because the world is about technology. It is through technology that we